Welcome back to Stay Focused. Today we got a very special guest. This interview right here is something I've been looking forward to for a long time. If you know me, if you know anything about me, you know how big of a Ranger fan that I am, that my dad was, our bond through Ranger games. And man, this is just amazing to have this guy on my platform, on this platform. So without further ado, man, let me introduce former Aledo Bearcat, former Baylor Bear, and now current World Series champion, Texas
Let's go.
Ranger, Cody Bradford. Man, welcome, man. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Tyler. Pleasure to be here.
Man, thank you, bro. Like, it's crazy, man. There's so many things that I could ask you. There's so many things that I could talk to you about. But I'd be sitting here all day if I literally asked you everything that I want to ask. So, man, let's just talk about like your journey, your career. Obviously, you started at Aledo, Texas, man. When I think of Aledo, I think of football instantly. I think of Jonathan Gray. I think of the football teams there. What was it like playing baseball at a school like Aledo? Was that overshadowed by football, or is the baseball program kind of elite too?
You know, there was a pretty good crop of baseball players when I was coming through high school, and some of them did play two ways. Some of them would play football in the fall and baseball in the spring, and so you had some really good athletes growing up. But the year before I made varsity, I guess I was still in JV. The team did make it to. They actually won state, won the whole thing.
Wow.
And then my junior year, we made it back to the state tournament and then got beat out by Georgetown. So had some pretty successful baseball teams come through. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome, bro. Like I said, I grew up kind of watching Jonathan Gray. That's like my era of that's like
Yeah.
when I was in high school. So I remember Aledo always being in the mix, like, you know, running deep in in high school football playoffs and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Keeping up with them. So to see that you were from there, I was like, man, that's crazy because I mean, obviously, like you said, y'all won a state championship. So y'all just have an elite athletic program, you know, like obviously football, baseball, and I'm sure basketball was pretty good as well. So man, that's just it's crazy to
Basketball's
see
all
that, man.
right. All right. Definitely not as good as football. But
Yeah.
yeah, I grew up watching Jay Gray too. I mean, obviously every kid I think coming up through elementary school and middle school, I mean, we wanted to be Jay Gray when we got to high school when we
Yeah.
grew up. So just he's a great guy, an incredible human being.
Yeah, man. And obviously, he had a great career with the Texans and
Yeah.
all that stuff, man. He was definitely one of the. I think he still has a lot of records. I'm not sure if they've been broken or not, but I know he set a lot of high school records over
Yeah.
there. So yeah, I know he's definitely pretty well regarded at Aledo. Um,
And
and then you go on to Baylor, and I had to break
then,
this out, man. I had to break this out for the video. I actually, this is a signed baseball from the '98 team. I don't know if you
wow,
can see that, but yeah, so I
that's
got like
awesome.
Jason Jennings
Yeah, you
and
got Jason Jennings on there?
yeah,
That's
Jason
cool.
Jennings,
That's really cool.
Jace Brewer, trying to think, Steve Smith was the coach at the time.
Okay,
Um,
yep.
but yeah, like I remember I had to be 8 at the time, so 8 or 9. And I would wait by the gate and they would come through after the game and just sign, and the next one would come and sign. And it was kind of a cool memory to
Wow.
unlock because I haven't pulled that out in a while. And I used
Wow.
to go to the games with like my grandpa, my dad, and stuff like that. So yeah, man, it was pretty cool to see that again. Just brought back all those childhood memories. But what was it like
Yeah.
playing at Baylor for you? I know that's a very prestigious program when it comes to baseball, obviously
Yeah.
basketball and even football for those years that RG3 was there.
Yeah, I think God really opened some doors for me in high school to lead me to Baylor. I wasn't highly recruited. I had two college offers actually for baseball. I had one from Stephen F. Austin and one from Baylor. And God kind of opened that door in a pretty unique way and took the offer. And I loved every second of my 3 years there. Ended up meeting my wife my freshman year, first girlfriend I ever had, first girl I ever dated. And we ended up getting married right after college and made some incredible friends that I still talk to this day, almost on a weekly basis. Some of them were groomsmen at my wedding. And I really enjoyed my time at Baylor. And I think God led me there for a reason to help grow my faith, mature me spiritually, and just help me in my walk there and learn so much. Yeah.
That's awesome, bro. Like just to hear that journey you giving all glory to God like you always do, man. Like that, it's great to see. And obviously, you went to the Rangers right after that, so your road hasn't been like far travel. You've been from Dallas area to Waco, back to Dallas,
Yeah.
man. So, and you're actually drafted by the Rangers. What was that process like for you? Just being a part of a draft, like actually getting
Yeah.
drafted and things like that.
So the year I got drafted, I actually, it was my junior year of college. Had a really good sophomore year and kind of got finally was told for the first time, hey, you might be good enough to play pro baseball. You should probably go get an agent and start working through some of those hoops. And junior year came around, which was the first year a lot of guys are eligible to be drafted from Baylor. And I got hurt. I had surgery and I missed the entire year. I
Wow.
played in the first 2 games or pitched twice or 3 times over that year, and then had surgery and redshirted the rest of the year. And so I didn't know. I thought my hopes at that point of getting drafted were out the window. I was like, well, I guess pro baseball is not for me. Just the injury bug hit, and continue to pray about it. And my now wife, uh, Maddie, talks about it a lot. Like, well, we should still, reach out to the teams and let them know that we're still interested in playing pro baseball. And if that's where God wants us, then, he'll make something happen. So we kind of how it works is you meet with all the teams in the fall, and then the draft is the following summer. And so after I redshirted, draft came around. I was like, well, I don't know. They're like, here we go. Got a couple phone calls and, hey, this is Seattle Mariners. We're thinking about drafting you, in the fourth, fifth, whatever round. Be on the lookout for it. Fourth round went by, fifth round went by, no phone calls.
Right.
And my agent called me and said, well, I guess it's not going to happen this year, bud. So, go back to school, finish up your recovery with your surgery, and have a good year next year. And the following year was COVID, so that would have been really, really interesting. But the Rangers ended up calling in the sixth round and said, hey, we'd love to draft you. You have a mature makeup, and we have faith that you can get back to the pitcher you were the year before. And so I graciously took that offer, and my wife and I were with the Rangers starting in 2019, and finished up rehab later that fall, and was full go the following spring training. COVID hit. We didn't have a season for the minor league guys, and so we moved in with our parents down in Houston for a couple months because we newly married, didn't really know where to go, didn't know what to do with baseball. And that's kind of what started our journey into professional baseball. And now we're here. So.
Were you a Ranger fan growing up? Like, did you grow up
Oh
watching the
yeah.
Rangers, or were you an Astro guy? Or
No, not an Astro. So being from Aledo, I mean, it's 35
Yep.
minutes from the old ballpark, and my dad and I would go to games during the summers, and sometimes with our little league team and whatnot, the coach would take us. So I got Ian Kinsler's autograph when I was younger. Got to meet Hank Blaylock down at the, just during BP or something. He came over to the stands and was greeting kids and stuff. So a lot of really good memories at the old ballpark for the Rangers.
Yeah, man. And to be honest with you, just to tell you a little bit about me, I gotta say it. Like
Yeah.
people know, man. Like
Yeah.
I'm a diehard Ranger fan, especially growing up. I was like you. I would go to the ballpark with my dad probably 4 or 5 times a year.
Yeah.
I think my first game was like in '99. I think that was obviously the Juan Gonzalez years,
Wow.
Pudge Rodriguez
Yeah.
years. Rusty Greer was my favorite player at the time, and yeah, and my journey started when I was like 8. Obviously, we were watching games on TV and stuff, and
Mhm.
my dad passed away in 2019, so the year that
Mm.
you were drafted.
Wow.
And so our last game was about a month before he passed away. And honestly, it's on YouTube, but the Rangers, I reached out to Woody at the time. Chris
Okay.
Woodward was the manager, and they gave Dad a shout out on TV during the game
Wow.
while he was on life support. So he never got to see it, but man, it was just awesome. Like for that to come full circle. I just had Pastor Shane Pruitt, who's out there on, and we were talking about it, man, like just how everything came full circle for me, like to end his life the way it really started with us, like our journey.
Yeah.
It was beautiful, man. It was just a beautiful thing. I actually had bought tickets for a game in September but unfortunately he passed away in August. So I ended up going with my wife, and I haven't even been to the new stadium. I haven't been to a game since, because obviously 2019 was the last
Yeah.
year at the ballpark in Arlington.
Yeah, the old ballpark. Yep.
Yeah. And so he was looking forward to it, man. He was like, man, it's an indoor stadium. It's not gonna be as hot because we like to go like during the
Yeah.
day. We would sit above the left field scoreboard. That was our spot. Um, and so yeah, he was looking forward to that new stadium, man. But he never got to see it. And honestly, man, I haven't been since. I've got 3 kids now. My daughter's turned 7 next week, so she's getting in that age to
Wow.
where I'm gonna start, taking her out there. But yeah, man, I kind of after everything happened with him, I kind of fell off of my Ranger watching. Like I was keeping up,
Good.
like I would keep up, and so but yeah, I haven't been able to get out there yet. But I plan to. I definitely plan to. But I know it's
Yeah.
gonna be a little different. The atmosphere is gonna be crazy now. Like
It is different. It's so much different. And I'll tell you, Tyler, like I do miss part of the parts of the old stadium, like the
yeah,
wiffle ball field and center field was so cool for kids.
yeah,
And it was just a really, really special stadium. I guess nostalgic for
Sure.
old Ranger fans like you and me. But the new stadium's, I mean, air conditioned inside. It's really good energy. When there's fans in there, it just sounds really, really loud because the sound's echoing off the roof and stuff. So it's a really cool place to experience a ball game. Yeah, you should definitely take your daughters out there. That would be so cool. Yeah.
yeah. And I have a 1-year-old son now too. So man, I
Oh,
can't wait, and I can't wait. And
yeah.
I actually, when y'all won the series, I did like a little reaction video. I was holding him on the last pitch. So that last strikeout, I was just like, I lost it, man. Like I lost it.
Wow.
Like, yeah, just everything that I've been through with my dad and all the games, and I was looking at my son like, man, you don't even know like what this means
Sure.
because he just turned 1, so he wasn't even 1 yet when y'all won. So it's just like, man, like I was like, you didn't put in no work. Like I went through all those bad years, I went through the great years, like the old stadium. The new, I mean, man, everything. But yeah, I was just like trying to cherish that moment, man, because I know
Yeah.
obviously how rare it is. We went twice before and didn't work out,
And
But yeah, man, just having that feeling, man. Like, what was it like for you, man? I gotta ask. Like, you had a great season, but you had an amazing playoff. Like, you really stepped up. Like, you came through all the games. Like, you had a great playoff run, and even your games in the World Series. You pitched 2 games in the World Series and were lights out. So, what was it like? The transition, the atmosphere, man, everything. Like, for you
yeah.
to just get that feeling of like that clutchness that you had.
Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of a pretty mellow pitcher, and
Yeah.
Max Scherzer, when he came over right
Mhm.
before the playoffs started, right before we got to Tampa Bay, he pulled me and a couple of the other rookies aside. It's like, hey guys, let's talk about playoff baseball. Let's talk about the atmosphere. He's like, this isn't going to be us playing Oakland in the middle of the year. Like this isn't that. This is a playoff atmosphere. There's going to be 40,000 people in the stands. It's going to be really special. And he said, if you're a raw guy, high energy, high adrenaline pitcher, to be one step below that when you come in the game and let the crowd and the energy elevate your adrenaline and elevate your body speed, and then be that raw guy. If
Yeah.
you're a more mellow guy down here, he's like, be one step below that. Come in, no emotion, because when you hear the crowd noise and you hear that excitement, it's going to make your body move a little bit faster. And so my first appearance this playoffs was in Baltimore, and they packed the house there. Oh my gosh, they have such good baseball fans, and I was so nervous. My wife and my mom and parents said, when you came in, you had no emotion, like you didn't look nervous. As I was so nervous,
I
but
bet.
I was kind of thinking back to what Scherzer said and trying to be one step below that and let the crowd, get that adrenaline going. And it was a really cool experience. I would say the entire playoffs, man. Holy smokes. It's something I'll always remember. And we had a couple older guys, some older veterans on the team this year. One of the guys was Ian Kennedy, and been around baseball, I mean, almost as long as I've been alive. I think he's played parts to 14 or 15, 16 seasons in the MLB. He's made the playoff, not the World Series, the playoffs twice ever
Wow.
in his whole career. Never got close to the World Series. And so hearing stories, hearing guys who have been around that long to let me and some of the other younger guys know, hey, this doesn't happen often. It's really special. Enjoy it. It just made me so much more grateful for everything that's happened this year and for the Rangers to get hot at the right time. Yeah, it was really cool.
Man, like I said, there's so many things to ask. Like, and obviously y'all had an up and down season with injuries, with the way the season ended, with not, and so like watching from a distance, I'm like, man, like I know they can do this. Like, it's just like when you see the injuries happen, you're like, maybe this isn't the year. Maybe this is like the year prior to maybe what's to come. Like we see what's the potential of it. And then y'all go on like how many did y'all win in a row in the playoffs? 7 or 8?
Yeah, maybe the first.
Yeah.
I guess 2 in Tampa, 3 in Baltimore, 2. Yeah, like 7.
7, yeah.
Yeah.
So when y'all went on that run, and then obviously the Astros series is like everybody's watching that. Like whoever wins this is probably gonna have a chance. And y'all do that, and then we see the matchup like Rangers and Diamondbacks, and we're just like, man, this could really happen. Like that was my mentality. Like this could really happen. This could be the year. And then obviously the series was pretty much. I mean, they fought, but it was like it was pretty quick. It seemed like it wasn't like Game 7 or anything like that. So. Man, what was that like? Just the whole World Series experience. Like, obviously, you said the nerves were there. I know you had the veteran guys around you. Obviously, the manager, Boach, he's a legend in the game. So he came in and turned that thing around. But, man, just the way everything happened, man. Like, what was that like, man?
Yeah, speaking of Boach, I think his very calm, mellow demeanor kind of set the tone for the whole team. And it's a guy who's been around baseball his whole life, a guy that's already won a couple World Series with the Giants. So having his experience and his calmness was huge in the playoff run. Like, doesn't matter that we dropped 3 games at home against the Astros and we're down 3-2 now. Like we're almost blowing a 2-game lead. He's like, no, guys, like just trust the process. Let's go to Houston, do what we're capable of doing, head on to the World Series, and just an incredible leader at the helm of our ship. And then, for the World Series. Oh my gosh, I'm still speechless. I still tell my wife to pinch me all the time because it hasn't quite set in yet that we won everything. And so, like, being a kid who grew up watching the Rangers and watching the World Series losses against the Giants and the Cardinals back in 10 and 11, like I was a milk. Like I watched those games, like every single one of them, and remember Nelson Cruz almost catching the final out. Man, it's like you said with your dad, being able to just hear his name being mentioned on TV, like it was a really full circle moment for me growing up a Rangers fan and getting to participate in the run. So
yeah, man, and I remember the playoff runs too. Like I said before that, we had all those up and down years. Like we had the players, like the excitable players and stuff like that, but they could never get there. It was always, I think at the time, I know Anaheim made it a lot. And then when the Astros came over, they started making it a lot. So it was always those up and down years. Then we get Beltre, who is like, that's probably my favorite player of all time.
Hall of Famer now.
Yeah, Hall of Famer, Adrian Beltre. Yeah, first ballot, man. But I knew it. Like, it had to be. It had to be. But yeah, man, like, so those runs, the 2 back-to-back World Series losses, like, and then to kind of disappear for a little bit, they weren't really, they kind of had to rebuild and stuff like that. People were retiring, getting traded. People that had been there forever, like Elvis Andrews, Ian Kinsler. Like, I mean, I know he got traded for Prince, but people that had been there from our childhood, it was like, dang, like, it's like a whole new batch of players. So I had to get familiar, like I said, after he passed away, 2019, we still had Beltre, we still had Elvis, we still had all those guys. And so after that, it was like, man, this isn't even, nobody's there anymore. Like, this is a whole new team, whole new stadium. And so it's crazy, man, how everything has happened. Like, with this generation, with these guys that y'all have now, like, most of the guys are young. Obviously, you have Scherzer, you have DeGrom, you have people like Ian Kennedy, Boach in the locker room to kind of keep that veteran presence. So what is that like? Because like you mentioned it, how Scherzer impacted you just by telling you to stay calm and stuff like that. Do you think without those guys being there, do you think y'all would have had that same mentality, or would it have been kind of like a different mindset?
I don't know. I don't know
Yeah.
what it would have been like. I know it would have been a lot tougher had it not been for some of those guys' wisdom. And we had Nathan
Yep.
Evaldi, who had been a World Series champ with the Red Sox, and like his maturity going out there taking the ball every game, and just like we knew every time he was on the mound, he was gonna do his job and get us through 6 or 7 innings. And then you have Corey Seager, who won a World Series with the Dodgers, and so
Right.
you had some guys in the clubhouse who have played at that level before and know how to handle the pressure. And I think you have to have a couple of those guys in the clubhouse to help out everybody else, give everybody else confidence, and to give everybody else the energy that they need to perform. So if they hadn't have been there, who knows? Who knows what would have happened?
Absolutely. What's this off-season process been like for you? Obviously, the highs of winning the World Series, and now you kinda gotta start over. You gotta go through the whole process of the off-season and wait to see if any moves are being made. And I think most of the
Mhm.
team is staying intact. I know we're still waiting on a few things. What has that process been like for you personally? Like, what have you been doing
Yeah.
this off-season?
Yeah, so I started throwing again. I took about a week and a half, 2 weeks off from throwing last year or during the off season, and then picked up a baseball and got to work. Hit the weight room hard, and kind of a guy in my position since I was a rookie last year. Spent about half the year up and down with the big league team. There's no guarantees going into this next year. It's baseball's at the end of the day, it's a business, and it's about what you can do to help the team win. And so my goal in spring training this year is to make the team. I know it sounds so weird, and people are
Right.
like, "Well, you're on the World Series team, so you're just on the team, right?"
Yeah.
Well, no, not necessarily. So, working my butt off to earn a spot this spring has been my goal all off season. So, yeah,
That's awesome, man, to hear that from you
yeah,
because it's like that just shows your humility. Like I know I was a part of this, but that doesn't guarantee like, my security. I still gotta work
right,
hard. I still gotta keep doing what I was doing before, don't take it for granted. And I think that's very important because, it could end. Like anything could happen, man. And I pray it doesn't.
right.
I pray you have a long, healthy career. Obviously, you're still young. You still got a long way to go, man. So I hope this is the beginning of a dynasty run. Me and Shane were
I
talking
hope so
about it.
too. Yeah,
Yeah, man. I think, we never know what could happen. I know the division's tough as it is, and then the AL is tough as it is to get out of.
man.
But man, like we've seen it, y'all can do it. So man, yeah, bro, like it's amazing, man. It's really truly amazing. I'm glad you were a part of it. I'm glad to be able to witness it. I'm glad to be able to share that moment with my kids, even though
Yeah.
even though they're so young, 7 or 6, 5, and 1. But yeah, man, I'm very grateful for it, man. How do you feel now transitioning, bro? Like I said, there's so many things I could talk to you about.
Mhm.
Obviously, when you look at athletes, Christian athletes,
Okay.
first guy that's coming to mind now is like C.J. Stroud, who's been very vocal
Amen.
about giving his glory to God and Jesus Christ, man. I know you said before, like that's your main goal is to, give all glory to God. And so, what's it been like for you? I know God has blessed you. I know you've been through a lot, but your
Right.
your journey has been amazing, man. How has God like impacted your life through all of this?
Yeah, I think especially this year, I would
Yeah.
say kind of bouncing back between the minor leagues and the big leagues, and when you're in AAA, the big leagues can feel so far away,
Mhm.
but it can also at the same time be like, oh, I'm one finger blister away from like another guy or paternity leave, whatever, one move away from being there too. And so this year has been, I'd say, a really humbling year for my wife and I, and just to not be able to ride the roller coaster of baseball, to not identify with my performance on the field, not even to identify as a baseball player, honestly. Um, I think you see a lot of guys who find their identity in their career, and it's not
Yeah.
just in baseball, just in their career, in their job, or whatever it may be. That's what other people see them as, and so that's what they see themselves as. And I think that can be a really dangerous game.
For sure.
I think, uh, I think Paul says it in some of his letters a lot, and
Yeah.
Jesus might have even talked about it. But it's identifying as a follower of Christ, as a sinner who's been saved, and been bought with the blood of Christ. Uh, Finding your identity outside of your career is so important, and specifically finding it in who you are and what you believe. And my wife and I just try and live in a way that proves what we believe. And that's that we're sinners who have been saved by a gracious and merciful God. So,
Absolutely.
gosh, we learned so much, but off the top of my head, that's kind of where we're at right now. Yeah.
For sure, man. And that's kind of like my ministry is called Stay Focused. And it's kind of like, it kind of goes into that. Like, don't focus so much on this world. I think it's Colossians 3:2. Focus on the things above, not on earth. And so, like you said, sometimes we get caught up in even the positive. I know we get caught up in the negative things sometimes, but even the positives, like we take stuff for granted. We focus too much on our careers or our jobs or, other things that may be our vices. And stay focused was something that I had to tell myself. I was like, man, just stay focused, because I would fall off like of my faith walk sometimes and be focusing on the wrong things, be getting stressed out for no reason. But so I was always telling myself, stay focused, stay focused. So I try to help other people with that as well. So that's kind of my mentality as well, man. I could definitely understand how someone, especially in your position and, people in the professional sporting industry, is like you're making the money, you're getting the attention, the media, whatever. And so you kind of get caught up in that. And I can imagine how fast life moves for you, because I know it moves fast for me. So I can't even imagine how fast it's moving for you right now. But yeah, man, like I definitely appreciate that answer, bro, because I can't even imagine what you faced throughout your career. I know, obviously, you said too that it's important to share the gospel with your teammates. Do you have like a special bond with your teammates through the gospel, or have you like registered a different bond with someone, maybe a closer bond with a specific teammate?
Yeah, I think coming up to the minor leagues, it's a little bit easier because you're with the same guys for longer to establish friendships, and I think an important part of evangelism, or maybe sharing the gospel, at least for me, is to build trust with people. And to do that, for me, it's easier to be friends with them first. And so being a rookie, my position with the big league team, one of the younger guys in the clubhouse, I don't want to come across as, that weird Jesus guy. Hey, let me what you know about Jesus, man? Let me tell you about him. So, trying to build trust with some of the older guys, trying to build friendships first. But I do have a really good core group of guys who also, some of them are married. And my wife and I have gotten really close to them in the minor leagues, and we actually, one of them lives pretty close to us right now, and we have them over every now and then and get to have kind of a little Bible study or just fellowship group. And it's been really special. It's been tough to find community where we are, but my wife and I call it forging community. It's not something like forging, because one, building that friendship with other believers can be tough. Like you have to be vulnerable with one another, and being vulnerable brings awkwardness. It brings uncomfortableness. But that's what Christ has called us to do, is fellowship in community and live in community. And we've tried to forge that along our path through the minor leagues. And God has graciously blessed us with some really, really special friends.
Yeah, man. And like you said, it can be, I guess I think it really happens naturally. I don't think you got to force it. You don't got to force your way in. So it's not like you said, you don't walk in and say, hey guys, you're holding up your Bible to them. But at the same time, you start developing conversations, and you kind of see who is really, like, you kind of connect. And I know that's just based off my experience as well. Like, even recently, like I'm a Christian hip hop artist, and I never really had other brothers in the same walk that I was trying. So I was out here, but that's why I would kind of fall off, because I didn't have that community of brothers around me and sisters. So now that I have that, it definitely helps having that community with you. Like you said, you can get together for a Bible study or have dinner with someone and kind of talk about things that you may not be able to talk about with other people. Or at least not on that level. So yeah, I definitely, I could see that. I could see how, in a locker room, especially as a young guy, like you said, you kind of walk in, you're kind of getting to know everybody. You want people to earn the trust and respect of your teammates and your other staff that's there. But I think, like, there's always that one or two, maybe even more guys that's like you got
Yeah.
that special connection with, like maybe for the rest of your career and
Yeah.
beyond. Yeah, so I could definitely see that, man. So that's great, man. Keep up the good work, man. Keep up doing what you're doing. Keep shining your light in the clubhouse and outside the clubhouse. I pray you keep getting a bigger platform to share the gospel, to share
Yeah.
the good news. Man, that's awesome. Before I let you go, man, what is a specific Bible verse that comes to mind that motivates you? Like, what is your go-to, your favorite Bible verse that you like to share with people and that keeps you
Yeah.
going?
Yeah. It's the Bible verse that I've had on my glove. Scripted on there every year. It's Ephesians 2:8 and 9. So it's for me. It's a good reminder. Kind of my testimony coming up. A good reminder for me, and just where does my belief lie? And the verses of Ephesians 2:8 and 9 is it's gosh. Now I'm putting on the spot. It's by grace you have been saved through faith, and it's not of yourselves. It is
Right.
the gift of God,
Through
not
faith
by
in
works,
Jesus.
so that no one may boast. Right. And
Absolutely.
so it's not a works-based gospel. The gospel isn't something that we can earn by any means. It's definitely not something we deserve, and it's not even of our own ability, right? God gave
Right.
us the ability to have faith in him through the Holy Spirit. And Jesus died on the cross as the atoning sacrifice for our sins. It's not something that we can live in a way to earn salvation. It's been freely given to us through faith by God's grace. Kind of the verse that I always go back to, the one I want to share with people, because for me it's like, and that's a whole gospel in 2 verses right there. You don't have to read every book of the Bible to understand it, but it's so important that people understand that. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's definitely man, that's awesome. Yeah. Through faith through Jesus, so that no man may boast. So there's no boasting
Mhm.
about it. No, I'm better than this person because I've done this, or I've
Right.
talked more about this, or so people, you can get a tendency to do that. You get that boastfulness, and but yeah, man, I definitely understand that. Like we're saved through grace, through faith, through Jesus Christ, man. So all glory to God, all glory to Jesus, man. Thank you for doing this, bro. Thank you for shining your light. Thank you for talking about. It was just amazing to talk baseball with you. First of all, it was amazing to talk baseball with you, and obviously talk faith with you as well, man. So keep up the good work, man. Keep up. I hope you have a good off season. I'm praying for health for sure. Number one, pray that you don't get any minor injuries, no blisters, no nothing like that, man. I pray that everything that you've been through, this is just the beginning for you, man, and you continue to grow and have a long, successful career, brother.
Well, thank you so much, Tyler. I really appreciate it, and I appreciate your Stay Focused ministry and the message that you stand for as well. I'm really grateful for that.
And thank y'all for joining us today. Thank y'all for being a part of this journey as well. Go follow Cody on all social platforms. You got to keep up with the Rangers, man. Go follow Cody, and God bless y'all and stay focused.